The sinister black aura surged from the depths of the volcano, blanketing the sky. The volcano itself, formed by the union of the 8 extremes scorching heaven gates, began dissolving at a shocking pace under the corrosive power of this darkness. Whoosh! The dissolution continued for several minutes until suddenly, 3 streaks of black light burst out from the volcano's core, piercing straight through its surface. Within these dark streaks, 3 figures gradually rose, drifting upward. Lin Dong's face was somber as he observed the 3 figures silhouetted in the black light. Judging by their forms, it was Yuan and his 2 companions. But they had undergone a startling transformation. Their eyes had sunken deeply, and their pupils were flooded with a malevolent darkness. Black, web-like veins sprawled across their faces and exposed skin, adding an unsettling, sinister air to their presence. Along with their altered appearances, the aura radiating from Yuan and the others had become more menacing and evil, their strength clearly magnified beyond previous levels. Heh, Lin Dong, forcing us to activate the demon seeds. You've proven to be quite the challenge, Yuan sneered, his face etched with eerie, black line patterns. His sinister smile only deepened as he fixed his gaze on Lin Dong. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he studied their transformations. Although he didn't fully understand what these demon seeds were, he could sense a mounting danger from Yuan and his companions. Boom! Lin Dong raised his palm and clenched his fist. Instantly, the 8 heaven-burning gates in the sky began to rotate once more, emitting fierce and searing waves of energy. Swish! The 8 extremes scorching heaven gates trembled violently, and from each of them shot a pillar of blazing crimson light. Like streams of molten lava, the pillars streaked toward Yuan and his allies below. However, the trio responded with mocking smiles. With a mere flick of their fingers, 3 beams of black light emerged, converging midair to form a dark, ominous net. Sizzle! As the magma-like beams collided with the dark net, a harsh screeching sound filled the air, and a thick white mist rose. Despite its initial ferocity, the blazing pillars failed to penetrate the black net. Since we've unveiled our greatest secret, do you really think you have any escape left, Lin Dong? Sneered Li Lei, grinning coldly. He stepped forward, his movements a blur. His true form flashed through the red glow and appeared right in front of Lin Dong, clawing at him. Lin Dong realized that Li Lei's hand had somehow swollen, his fingers elongated like blades, a sinister black light coiling around his fingertips, sharp enough to slice even through space itself. In response, Lin Dong tightened his grip, summoning the Thunder Emperor's scepter. He thrust it horizontally to meet Li Lei's attack, the scepter colliding fiercely with Li Lei's claws. Bang! A deep thud resounded, and bolts of thunder crackled wildly along the Thunder Emperor's scepter, pushing back against the black energy seeping from Li Lei's hand. Crack! The overwhelming power emanating from Li Lei forced Lin Dong's expression to harden. Channeling his strength, Lin Dong shook the scepter, swinging it in a flurry of strikes aimed at Li Lei's vulnerable points. Yet, Li Lei did not flinch. With his elongated fingers like razor-sharp blades, he met Lin Dong's scepter head-on, each clash sparking ferociously. The unleashed power twisted the surrounding space, their collision disrupting even the laws of nature. Having activated the demon seeds, Li Lei's strength had surged, now reaching well beyond the typical prowess of a minor completion death mystique stage master, nearing the level of great completion. Even Lin Dong struggled to maintain his earlier composure in the face of this intensified power. Swish, swish. Meanwhile, as Li Lei kept Lin Dong occupied, Yuan and the 3rd member shattered the array restraining them and appeared on Lin Dong's other 2 flanks, their gazes brimming with cold amusement. Lin Dong, just handling one of us is already your limit. Now with the 2 of us joining, do you think you have any chance left? Yuan smiled icily, watching Lin Dong locked in combat with Li Lei. Get lost. Lin Dong snarled, his eyes darkening. He stepped forward, unleashing 30 azure dragon patterns from within. They coiled around the Thunder Emperor's scepter, amplifying its power, and as he swung it, deafening thunder echoed, striking straight at Li Lei's black-veined, outstretched arms. Boom! A forceful shockwave rippled outward, and Li Lei's figure was blasted back dozens of meters. Lin Dong parried Li Lei's advance with a single strike of his staff. Before he could press forward, a sharp whistling sounded from behind as two fierce gusts hurtled toward his vulnerable spots. Evidently, Yuan and his companion had launched an attack. Sensing the fierce approach from behind, Lin Dong's expression turned cold. He swung the Thunder Emperor's scepter forcefully, unleashing a thunderous dragon-shaped aura that shot out and collided head-on with the two gusts. Boom! A violent burst of thunder erupted, propelling Lin Dong backward. Amid the crackling thunder, Yuan and his ally reappeared, sneering at him. Don't resist needlessly. The alien demon chi can't be dispelled by ordinary primordial energy. Your attacks are futile against the demon aura within us. Since you know of the alien demons, Li Lei chimed in with a mocking grin. You should realize that to fully eradicate them, you'd need both absolute power and the aid of an ancestral talisman or other divine artifacts. Right now, your heaven-burning cauldron and Thunder Emperor's scepter hardly meet that threshold. Lin Dong's gaze remained calm as he looked at the trio, a slight smile forming on his lips. Indeed, I'm weaker than you. To eliminate you, I must rely on the power of divine artifacts. Yuan crossed his arms, staring at Lin Dong with an amused look. Surrender, and make your end less painful. Do you wonder why Mo Luo allowed me to enter the Thunder Realm? Lin Dong raised his head, his once dark eyes now appearing deeper, almost fathomless. A subtle unease crept into the trio's expressions. That's because... Lin Dong's voice turned almost casual. I am also an ancestral talisman wielder. At those words, Yuan and his companions paled. From Lin Dong's crown erupted an immense wave of black light, forming a vast, rotating black vortex in the sky. Within its depths, darkness roiled, and a shadow of an ancient rune flickered faintly within. This is the devouring ancestral talisman? Yuan and his allies stared at the vortex, finally showing true fear. Even their voices grew shrill. They had relied on the protective power of their demon seeds, confident that no ordinary force could destroy them. But they knew well that the 8 ancestral talismans of the world had the power to annihilate them completely. Impossible. How could the devouring ancestral talisman be in your possession? Yuan's face twisted in terror, his former composure shattered. And it's not just the devouring ancestral talisman I possess. Lin Dong looked down at them with a chilling smile, clenching his fist. Brilliant lightning burst from his palm, cascading around him with a deafening roar. As the thunderstorm spread, the sky darkened ominously, and thunderclouds formed overhead, releasing an oppressive aura across the land. In Lin Dong's hand, the lightning grew ever brighter until a sphere of thunder appeared. Inside, a primordial bolt of lightning flickered. The aura emanating from it matched that of the devouring ancestral talisman. Is that the Thunder Ancestral Talisman? Seeing the thunder sphere in Lin Dong's hand, raw fear filled Yuan and his allies. The overpowering energy flowed across the heavens, even subduing the once fierce heat within the heaven-burning cauldron due to the overwhelming presence of 2 ancestral talismans. Suspended in midair, Lin Dong stood, black vortex above him, rolling thunderclouds beyond, as thunder echoed through the heavens, reverberating to the core. Devouring Ancestral Talisman. Thunder Ancestral Talisman? Yuan and his companions could barely contain their horror, screaming, "It's impossible! How can you possess 2 ancestral talismans?" Their terror was justified. There were only 8 ancestral talismans in existence. Anyone who obtained one would eventually rise as a supreme force. Mo Luo, who wielded the Flame Ancestral Talisman, was a feared power in the Chaos Demon Sea. The rarity and might of the ancestral talismans made it unimaginable that Lin Dong could wield 2. The dark and silver eyes stared quietly at Yuan and his 2 companions, their faces twisted with fear. Under this silent gaze, a chill crawled up their spines, and waves of terror surged through them like a relentless tide. They knew all too well the devastating restraint the ancestral talismans imposed on the alien demons. Now, With Lin Dong wielding the power of 2 such talismans, it was clear he could annihilate them with ease. Retreat. Yuan's gaze flickered as he made an immediate decision, shouting sharply. Despite their strength far surpassing Lin Dong's, they understood that if he unleashed the might of both ancestral talismans, death was inevitable. Hearing Yuan shout, Li and Lei also paled in fear and tried to scatter. Now that the ancestral talismans are revealed, there's no way I'm letting you escape. Lin Dong looked at the trio attempting to flee and smiled faintly. Even back when he was cornered by the 3 leaders of Yuan's sect in Alien Demon City, Lin Dong hadn't dared use the devouring ancestral talisman. He knew the gap in strength was too great. Not even the devouring talisman could bridge it. Moreover, he had no desire to expose his possession of the talisman, as it would only make him a target across the Chaos Demon Sea. But now, with absolute confidence in eliminating Yuan and his group, Lin Dong no longer had any qualms. If word got out, he'd be drawing endless trouble his way. Devouring ancestral talisman, devouring chains. Lin Dong stretched out his hand and with a calm voice, suddenly clenched his fist. Swoosh. With his voice, countless black beams shot from the swirling black hole in the sky. As they emerged, the beams coalesced into chains, each link radiating a devouring force. Wherever the chains passed, they consumed any energy in their path, strengthening themselves with each strike. The black chains surged forth, covering the sky, moving at an alarming speed. In a flash, they appeared above Yuan and his 2 companions, hurtling down with fierce intensity. Swoosh, swoosh. Faced with these chains formed by the devouring power, Yuan and his companions scrambled to evade, but the devouring power emanating from the chains overwhelmed them, causing immense discomfort. The power of the ancestral talismans was a natural bane to alien demons. The 3 were moving at their maximum speed, but the devouring chains moved even faster. Within mere seconds, deep gashes had already appeared on their bodies, leaving them in a humiliating state. Lin Dong looked at the floundering trio, his expression cold. Though he couldn't wield the flame ancestral talisman to the world-shaking level of Mo Luo, where he could incinerate the seas and skies, using its power to deal with Yuan's group was far from difficult. The power of the ancestral talismans was nothing to underestimate. In the past, Lin Dong had simply refrained from using them lightly. Devouring vortex prison. Lin Dong's hand formed a sudden seal, and the chains that had been lashing past Yuan and his group abruptly paused. The black light dispersed, morphing into swirling black vortices that emanated an intense devouring force, creating an eerie magnetic field. The trio was at its center, their bodies entirely immobilized by the devouring power surrounding them from all directions. Their predicament was almost comical, encircled by hundreds of spinning vortices, each radiating a powerful devouring force that confined them like a prison, leaving them utterly trapped. Damn it! Yuan and his companions' faces twisted in horror, but no matter how they summoned their primordial energy, their bodies remained frozen in place. Lin Dong's expression stayed indifferent as he gazed at the restrained trio. He clenched his hand, and the thunder ancestral talisman shot into the air, merging into the thunderclouds above. Rumble. With the thunder ancestral talisman's entry, the thunderclouds rolled violently, sending out thunderous roars that carried a terrifying energy, spreading through the heavens. Judgment of thunder. A cold glint filled Lin Dong's right eye as he spoke. His voice, frigid as a god's decree, echoed across the land. Boom. As his voice reverberated, the thunderclouds above condensed furiously, forming a massive thunder spear, a weapon of apocalypse that emerged slowly from the clouds. It shot straight down towards Yuan and his group. Boom, boom, boom. The thunder spear roared across the sky, cracking the earth below. Yuan and his 2 companions, faces stricken with terror, watched as the thunder spear grew larger and larger in their vision. They could sense the overwhelming presence of death radiating from it. With a sickening crack, Lei's body was the first to be struck. Dark energy filled the air, but under the blinding thunder and devouring force, It dispersed like melting snow amidst Li Lei's anguished screams. Li Lei was obliterated in an instant, followed closely by Chunling. The icy thunder spear, like the spear of divine judgment, delivered their death sentence. Lin Dong, with those two ancestral talismans in your possession, you're doomed to die without a trace, roared Yuan, terror burning in his eyes. Lin Dong's face remained impassive. His hand moved slowly downward, and with it, the thunder spear pierced straight through Yuan's body. I'll never let you go that easily. Yuan, blood streaming down and skin split with wounds, snarled furiously. His head suddenly exploded, releasing a strange wave of energy. Lin Dong, he has? The eerie wave carried a wisp of Yuan's essence spirit, desperately attempting to rip through space and escape. Boom. Yet, just as the energy was about to tear into the void, a massive thunderbolt crashed down from above, shattering Yuan's essence spirit completely. His final, half-uttered message was silenced, leaving his attempt to warn others utterly broken. Swish. Although Yuan's essence spirit was destroyed, the strange wave lingered. It carried his unfinished message, piercing through space before vanishing rapidly. Lin Dong frowned slightly, watching the fading wave. He understood it was a form of communication, but he couldn't be sure who Yuan had tried to contact, the Yuan Sect or the alien demons. At least Yuan had only managed to send a fragmented message. Exhaling deeply, Lin Dong felt the dark light and thunder fading from his eyes, though fatigue washed over him. Yet he quickly forced it down. Wielding two ancestral talismans still drained him considerably. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, the two ancestral talismans returned to his Naiwan palace. Lin Dong looked coldly at the empty sky below, satisfied with the result of wielding both talismans. One of Yuan Sect's former 3 minor kings had fallen to his hands, just like Yuan Song and his followers before. News of this was bound to cause a significant stir if it reached the Eastern Mystery region. On Heavenly Thunder Island, numerous figures floated in the air. From surrounding mountain peaks and towering trees, more watched. At this moment, their gazes locked onto the skies ahead, where a massive crimson cauldron loomed, pulsating with powerful waves of scorching energy. Since Lin Dong, Yuan, and the others had entered the heaven-burning cauldron about half an hour ago, none had emerged, sparking intense curiosity among onlookers. They were eager to see who would emerge victorious. It's been so long, and still no winner, muttered a middle-aged man from Xintian Palace, frowning as he watched the heaven-burning cauldron. Those 3 from Yuan Sect are immensely powerful. They've probably all reached the peak of the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage. One-on-one, we'd struggle to match even one of them. Another strong cultivator at minor completion of the Death Mystique stage commented slowly. And now, with the 3 of them working together, it won't be easy for Lin Dong to win, despite his skills. If we joined forces with them, taking down Lin Dong would have been straightforward, the middle-aged man remarked, glancing at Lu Xiangshuan beside him, puzzled by her earlier intervention. Lu Xiangshuan said nothing, her lips pressed tightly. She knew Yuan Sect's 3 weren't easy opponents, but something in Lin Dong's presence had sent a chill deep into her bones, a sense of danger she couldn't ignore. Trusting her instincts, she had stopped Xintian Palace from joining in the fight against him. So, facing the middle-aged man's questioning gaze, Lu Xiangshuan remained silent. She knew the answer would reveal itself soon enough. Just as Lu Xiangshuan's eyes flickered, the long, still heaven-burning cauldron finally let out a low hum, crimson light spilling forth. All eyes on the island turned toward it, a mixture of curiosity and tension filling their gazes. Under countless watchful eyes, a beam of light shot out from the cauldron, swiftly forming a slender figure in midair. Focus sharpened on the figure. A tall, lean young man, his face calm, without any hint of fierce aura. A faint tremor crawled quietly from countless pairs of watchful eyes. Everyone understood what it meant when that figure reappeared, untouched and unharmed. Brother Lin Dong. Mu Lingshan, who had been waiting outside and growing impatient, lit up with delight when she saw Lin Dong emerge. She hurried over, her eyes widening a bit as she glanced at the heaven-burning cauldron behind him. Where did those three go? Dealt with, Lindong replied with a soft smile. Although his tone was mild, his words had an instant, chilling effect on the air of heavenly Thunder Island. Some quietly gulped, the sound echoing in the silence. The outcome was surprising to say the least. Everyone was well aware of Yuan and his companion's strength. They were undoubtedly more formidable than even the two elders of the Nine Nether Sect. As far as most people thought, Lindong's best outcome would be a stalemate against them. But defeating them outright, that seemed nearly impossible. Yet here it was, this supposedly impossible feat, staring them in the face. Naturally, this caused an indescribable ripple of shock. A hush fell over heavenly Thunder Island. Those who had initially coveted the treasures in Lindong's possession found themselves reigning in their greed. Though many of the strong gathered here had their own skills, none could ignore that Lindong had just taken down 5 formidable warriors at the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage in the span of half a day. A middle-aged expert from Xintian Palace gazed, dumbstruck, at the young figure hovering in the sky. After a long pause, a hint of fear finally appeared in his eyes. Do you still doubt what I said? Beside him, Lu Xiangshuan took a deep breath, her chest heaving as she spoke evenly. The middle-aged man's mouth went dry. He exchanged a glance with another expert at the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage, each seeing the shock in the other's eyes. Those were 3 warriors at the peak of the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage. Together, they could have held their own even against someone at the great completion of the Death Mystique stage. And yet here they were, defeated by this Lindong, who had merely reached the perfect completion of the Life Mystique stage. What terrifying power did this man wield? Better not provoke this Lindong in the future, Lu Xiangshuan murmured. The middle-aged man nodded stiffly. With the combat prowess Lindong had displayed, even veteran experts would struggle to match him. It was clear that on the Chaos Demon Sea's Newcomer rankings, Lindong was more than qualified to compete with the most monstrous talents, ranking among the top 10 or higher. A person of such potential. If he couldn't be eliminated completely, it might be wiser to at least be on amicable terms than to make an enemy of him. In the sky, Lindong waved his sleeve, and the heaven-burning cauldron transformed into a crimson light, darting back into his body. He then looked over the throngs of powerful individuals gathered on heavenly Thunder Island. His calm gaze swept across them, but none dared to meet his eyes. One by one, they averted their gazes, unwilling to challenge him. Anyone else still interested in facing me? Lindong asked with a faint smile, his voice gentle. The crowd's response was a series of dry chuckles as any lingering greed was quickly extinguished. Lindong's display of power had made it clear that he was far beyond their reach, and there was little more they could do than wisely retreat. Seeing this, Lindong lowered his hands slowly. It seemed his earlier display had the desired effect. If it hadn't, taking on so many opponents would have forced him to fall back, even with his current strength. Brother Lindong, your methods are indeed extraordinary. If Xintian Palace offended you in any way before, I hope you'll forgive us, came a charming, lilting laugh from below. Lu Xiangshuan led her group from Xintian Palace, rising into the air as she beamed at Lindong. There was no denying Lu Xiangshuan's beauty. Her every expression held a magnetic charm, and her smile was enough to soothe the fiercest anger in a man's heart. Lindong glanced at her, feeling a slight tug at his heart from her lovely face. Still, he replied calmly, no need for apologies, Miss Lu. I'm not one to hold grudges. It was simply a misunderstanding, now resolved. Though Lu Xiangshuan was indeed beautiful, her charm wasn't enough to shake Lindong's resolve. Moreover, he had no intention of offending a major force like Xintian Palace. It was preferable to let bygones be bygones, though he also knew that relationships with people like her would likely remain superficial. Perceptive as ever, Lu Xiangshuan sensed Lindong's restrained tone. She understood that her previous actions had left a poor impression on him, and while it was a shame, she wasn't willing to let things sour too much. With a slight, knowing smile, she said, Brother Lindong, your strength has grown impressively. I imagine you're now easily among the top 10 on the Chaos Demon Sea's Newcomer rankings. Hearing these 2 words, Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly. Hee, this is a grand martial event hosted by the Flame Deity Palace. News of it is already spreading like wildfire across the Chaos Demon Sea. They say that the tournament champion will receive none other than the Thunder Ancestral Talisman. Lin Dong frowned, recalling something Imo Luo had once mentioned. Now it all made sense. This must be part of Imo Luo's plan. As for the Thunder Ancestral Talisman, Lin Dong understood better than anyone that it was just an imitation, using the essence power of the talisman. The real Thunder Ancestral Talisman lay quietly within him. If Brother Lin Dong is interested, you should join in the excitement. They say that even the top 10 figures on the newcomer list of Chaos Demon Sea have already made moves. It'll surely be a fierce battle of dragons and tigers. If time allows, I might take a look. Lin Dong nodded, his tone indifferent. Lu Xiangshuan, sensing Lin Dong's reserved response, didn't linger. After a brief conversation, she and her group departed. Following their departure, other experts on Heavenly Thunder Island gradually left as well. Watching the bustling Heavenly Thunder Island quiet down, Lin Dong stretched lazily, feeling a sense of relief at finally resolving the troubles here. Lin Dong, what's next? Mu Lingshan asked with a mischievous smile. Lin Dong ruffled her playful pigtails with a grin, then gazed southward, a flicker of thunder flashing in his dark eyes. Time to reclaim what's mine. He understood Imo Luo's plan, and he could foresee that the sea region of flames would soon become the center of attention in the Chaos Demon Sea. The mere mention of the Thunder Ancestral Talisman would stir up a tempest, drawing not only powerful figures from all directions but also those lurking alien demons. Such a spectacle, it would be unthinkable not to attend. Eastern Mystery Region, Yuan Sect. The massive Sect grounds were as grand as ever, shrouded in mist, with a majestic aura that seemed to fill the air. Countless disciples flitted about, the sounds of wind and movement constant. Deep within the Yuan Sect stood a vast hall where countless golden light specks floated. These were essence spirit imprints left by the Sect's elite disciples, allowing the Yuan Sect to monitor their life and death status. Guarded meticulously, this hall was watched over by dedicated disciples who observed the fluctuating essence spirit imprints. Near the center of the hall, 3 golden orbs of light floated, emanating powerful energy, evidence of their owner's formidable strength. Several Yuan Sect disciples strolled through the hall, checking the essence spirit imprints. One disciple halted, looking up in confusion at the 3 golden orbs. Then, a flash of horror appeared in his eyes, for he noticed fine cracks spreading across them. Bang! The moment fear filled the disciple's eyes, the 3 golden orbs shattered, releasing a wave of terror and dread. Lin Dong, he has? The terrified voice abruptly cut off, but the utter desperation in it left the Yuan Sect disciples in the hall pale with shock. That was the essence spirit imprint of Senior Brother Yuan and his team. Hurry! Report this to the chief. The once quiet hall erupted into chaos as disciples staggered and scrambled out to report. Even after they left, a sense of unease lingered, leaving the remaining disciples looking at one another, their expressions dark and uncertain. Did the essence spirit transmission just mention Lin Dong? Which Lin Dong? Could it be that guy from Dao Sect a year ago? How could he still be alive? Most likely it's him. My God, how could he possibly challenge Senior Brother Yuan and his team in just 1 year? As far as I know, Senior Brother Yuan and the others reached the death mystique stage. In Yuan Sect, that's powerful enough to be an elder. Whispers filled the hall as shock and disbelief grew in the disciples' eyes. Who could have imagined that the young man forced to flee the Eastern Mystery Region like a stray dog would not only survive but continue to grow at such a terrifying rate? Lin Dong, he has? In the depths of Yuan Sect, atop a mountain peak, 3 figures sat in meditation. The air around them seemed to ripple, and with each breath they took, powerful primordial energy surged, faintly echoing with the sound of thunder. At this moment, the 3 leaders of the Yuan Sect stood with grim expressions, their gazes locked on a faint glimmer of gold hovering midair. From within that feeble glow, a voice filled with terror and panic continuously echoed. It's definitely Yuan's voice. Judging by this, his essence spirit has been completely erased, Ren Yuanzi said softly, his eyelids drooping slightly. That boy named Lindong. He's really still alive, huh? Yuanzi muttered with a trace of doubt in his tone. Heh, in just 1 year. He's grown this much. Yuan and the other two were at the peak of minor completion of the Death Mystique stage, and each of them had a demon seed within. Even someone at the great completion of the Death Mystique stage would struggle to deal with them together. Yet Lindong, could he really have managed it? That kid isn't simple, Yuanzi said slowly, his deep-set eyes flickering with a hint of gloom as he opened them. The death of Yuan and his companions is of little concern, but the fact that they carried demon seeds. If this becomes known, it'll spell trouble for our Yuan sect. Top-tier experts across the world are already starting to take notice of the alien demons. What should we do? Ren Yuanzi narrowed his eyes, a sinister gleam flashing within them. Activate the plan, Yuanzi responded calmly after a brief pause. Oh? Moving ahead of schedule, are we? Yuanzi chuckled. The Eastern Mystery region is about to get interesting. It's been far too quiet for the past 1,000 years. A faint, serene smile spread across Yuanzi's baby-smooth face, but that smile radiated bone-chilling coldness. This chaotic assembly of powers in the Eastern Mystery region must come to an end, and it will be our Yuan sect that stands as the sole ruler. Of course, our ambitions don't end here. What about Lindong? If he isn't dealt with, he'll become a dangerous threat, Ren Yuanzi reminded. Hua Chun has already set out for the Chaos Demon Sea. I've sent word to him, eliminate Lindong there, Yuanzi said softly. With Hua Chun's strength, that boy won't escape. A faint smile tugged at Yuanzi's lips as he gazed toward the distant sky. The venomous words left by the gaunt young man during the cataclysmic battle in Alien Demon City a year ago still lingered in his mind. The day your clan is wiped out, a flicker of icy mockery and ruthlessness flashed across Yuanzi's eyes. An ant's dream. When you return to the Eastern Mystery region, all you'll find are the ruins of your Dao sect. The events that took place within the Essence Spirit Hall of the Yuan sect spread like wildfire within the sect, as if carried by a plague. The name that had vanished for more than a year, Lindong, surfaced once again, piercing through the hearts of many like a thorn. Although the Yuan sect's leadership moved quickly to suppress the news, a sect of such colossal size couldn't prevent it from leaking. Spies from other factions lurking within quickly picked up on the information. Thus, the news of Lindong's return rippled through the Eastern Mystery region in secret, spreading with astonishing speed and stirring waves of unease across the land. Dao sect. In a grand hall, EngSubs sat at the head of the room. Over the past year, strands of white hair had crept into the sect master's once jet-black locks, lending him a slightly weary appearance. So Lindong has reappeared, in the Chaos Demon Sea, and even killed the 3 from the Yuan sect? EngSubs muttered, his voice heavy with contemplation. Those 3, weren't they experts at the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage? Weren't they once known as the 3 minor kings of the Yuan sect? He ran a hand along the back of his chair, slowly tracing the grain of the wood. His gaze then shifted toward Chen Zhen, the master of the desolate hall, who stood before him. Chen Zhen's usually serene and reserved eyes now gleamed with rare excitement. Behind EngSubs stood Xiao, her delicate figure upright. Her expression, however, was one of disbelief. It lingered on her face for a moment before transforming into exhilaration. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with emotion, even brimming with faint tears as she murmured to herself, "It's been a year, and we finally have news of him." "The news is legitimate," Chen Zhen confirmed, a rare look of excitement lighting up his elderly face. "It came straight from the Yuan sect. There's no mistaking it. It's not some coincidence. Lindong is alive, and from the looks of it, his strength has increased dramatically. To defeat 3 experts at the minor completion of the Death Mystique stage, I wouldn't be able to do that myself." "That kid!" EngSubs exhaled deeply, his expression complex. In the end, he muttered softly, "It's good that he's alive. As long as he's alive." The word has already spread throughout the Dao sect, Chunjin added with a smile. Those youngsters, they've been bouncing off the wall since hearing the news. I haven't seen them this excited in a long time. EngShuanzi gave a slight nod, but his expression darkened as a thought crossed his mind. He turned to EngShao and asked, "Is Huanhuan still in seclusion?" EngShao hesitated for a moment before nodding. Ever since the incident in Alien Demon City a year ago, Ying Huanhuan had returned to the sect and locked herself away, rarely appearing. Even EngShuanzi himself had hardly seen her since. Clearly, the girl had been deliberately avoiding him. EngShuanzi sighed deeply, a weariness settling over him. Staring at EngShuanzi's weary expression, EngShao felt a slight ache at the bridge of her nose, but she quickly nodded, turned, and exited the grand hall. She moved swiftly towards the inner depths of the Dao sect. After about 10 minutes, she finally descended in a secluded mountain area. This mountain was bitterly cold, with a chilling mist seeping from its depths. The trees throughout the mountainside were covered in frost, their branches hanging with ice shards. At the heart of the mountain lay a crystal-clear lake, though now it was shrouded in an icy aura, its surface transformed into a solid, cerulean sheet of ice. EngShao landed lightly on the frozen lake, her beautiful eyes lifting to see a slender figure seated upon an ice lotus at the lake's center. The figure's long, ice-blue hair cascaded down, giving her the appearance of an ice fairy, ethereal and transparent from afar. EngShao looked at the girl who, just a year ago, had been lively and playful, but now was as cold as the ice surrounding her. A trace of sorrow flickered across her face. "Is there something you need, sister?" The girl on the ice lotus slowly opened her eyes. Where once her eyes were dark and bright like crystals, they now gleamed with an icy blue hue. A strand of hair slipped down her cheek, and the icy blue sigil at the center of her brow gave her an exquisite, yet distant beauty. In just a year, this once innocent girl had matured greatly, shedding her youthful liveliness for an enchanting, otherworldly allure. But within that beauty was a hint of unfamiliarity, an aura of innate coldness that seemed impossible to reach. EngShao sighed softly to herself, then mustered a gentle smile. "There's news about Lindong,"